morning, everybody. It's really wonderful to be here. It's a great privilege to be amongst such distinguished scientists. And I want to tell you a little bit about myself and how I came to know this wonderful person, this great scientist. My name is Taher Gozel. I was born in Iran in 1973, the month unknown to me, to my family, the day unknown. In our culture, we don't have birthdays, we don't celebrate it. My father and mother had 9 kids. I started my life in Iran, and by the time I'm 10 years old and I start to grasp life, I see the pain that this country went through. It just was over the revolution, the Shah was gone, and there was this new system, new ideology, the Islamic Revolution, there was the war with Iraq. I remember very well we had to, there were bomb raids by the Saddam Air Forces, and we had to cover our windows with the newspaper and close the lights and sit there not watching TV even as kids, just all night in terror, waiting for this raid to finish and wondering who's, so it was a really very, very devastating, difficult, period of my childhood, and this would repeat again and again. And then we moved to Turkey. We realized that we need to change our environment. So me and my family, we moved to, my father took us to Turkey. And in Turkey again, there was this fragmentation, the Turkish and the Kurds and the war in between. So I just realized everywhere there was this war and conflict, and I have to say I took my share of it. This had a lot of burden in terms of psychological, my own nature of my own psychology, and so I grew up with a lot of resentment, a lot of confusion and all that. Then in 1999, towards the 2000, I had a very big tragic car accident. Now in between there are good moments as well, it's not such a bad life story. We had our own good days. But after this tragic accident, I was operated 5 times in this region, including Germany. They couldn't sort it out. I had to go to New York. When I was in hospital in New York, the doctor there, Dr. David Helford, which I'm immensely grateful for my life, he really blessed me with my leg that I have now. His operation was so light-handed, so wonderful, and the drugs they used to sort of make me sleep, they were so lovely. Without realizing, I realized I sneaked out of hospital with the operating dress, as you know, some operating dress, you don't have a lot of, you're quite exposed. Anyway, jumped into a taxi, went to a Barnes & Noble's bookshop, and opposite sits to me the philosophy section. And I go like, I'm confused, I don't, And suddenly the book there catches my attention of my eye. It says Total Freedom by Jiddu Krishnamurti. And as soon as I grab this book and I start to read, and I'm fascinated by this mass analysis of human mind. And when he talks about the fact that it is very important to understand the process of how your mind works rather than individual thoughts. And he talked about the observer. If you observe your own thought, the observer is part of the observer. So that became fascinating. And of course, if you read Krishnamurti, the next step is you get introduced to David Bohm because they were so close together. So I started to be exposed to ideas of David Bohm, again, fascinating. And I'm starting to pick up books, and I'm seeing this name Hiley, Bohm and Hiley, and they're talking about, again, the same thing on apparatus, that the observer and the design of the apparatus changes the observation, and that really fascinates me, and I realized Bohm was fascinated by this. And this world of quantum physics, I thought matter is made of atoms, very simple. You put atoms together, they become molecules, complex molecules, and but when you go deeper, it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, the whole, what's happening down there at the fundamental level. This really reflects me. So I realized there are two, at that time, that's how I see, there were 2 schools of thoughts. One was the classical interpretation of the Copenhagen, which said, what happens, it's a mathematical algorithm, we just go along with it, forget it, just go along with it. That's what we do with mathematicians, with physicians. And then there was Bohm, and together with Hiley, they were trying to explain this phenomenon. Why is it so? What is the implication of that? What is the implication of that as a philosophy? What does this mathematical formulas tell us? How does matter behave? So while there was this duality, superimposition, and all these things I couldn't understand, Bowman Hiley's works, they said, well, there's this center, the whole thing is at the center, which itself is an abstraction of a totality. So they introduced the idea of quantum potential and all that, and I thought it's really, really fascinating. And I realized something, whenever there's Hiley next to Bohm, there's a lot of mathematics. And so whenever I see an article which says Bohm and Hiley, I would just say, Hiley, please be gentle, please be gentle. Whoop, there goes another mathematics question. And the only way I went through mathematics in high school is having a great relationship with the kid next to me. With his help and support during the exam questions. So it really fascinated me. And then I realized really, while Bohm has these intuitions, these ideas, Basil Hiley was always there to support it with substance, with mathematics. And that put a very, very special regard for me of what he was trying to do, give body to some ideas. Now, in 2008, I was contacted by David Peat. I had read some of his books and I wrote him an email saying, David, your books are lovely. Then he wrote back, he said, Taher, we want to do a conference on Bohm in Paris, in Italy, in a village in Italy. And these are the list of people that I would like to come and attend. Would you like to help? Would you like to sponsor? Now, having personally suffered from the fragmentation in society, the disintegration, London, I say London itself is a bubble in the world. It's a lovely place, it's peaceful, it's so wonderful. But where I come from, you see violence, you see your loved ones disappear, you see all the terrible things that happen. So they said it's about wholeness. We want to make a conference on wholeness. And I said, who is coming? They said, oh, Basil Hiley will be there. I will know. That's incredible. And then I got to read, as you read more about David, you go deeper, and I read Pavel Buchanan's amazing works. So I said, Pavel is coming. Yakir Hanarov is coming. And a good friend of mine, Joseph Jaworski from US is coming. So I thought, I am in it, absolutely. Somehow, I was expecting to meet a man, I don't know why, with a Germanic accent. This is the formulas that you know. I don't know why, in my childish imagination maybe. I said, okay, this is, I'm going to meet somebody like that. And then you meet Basil Hiley. And when he asks questions, he's so non-technical. He's so passionate about it. And as soon as I interview him, I see how animatic he is. And I said, God, India, Bollywood is had this influence on his childhood, so he's quite, quite animatic. So, and I started to, and then I said, Basil, is it okay if I come and see you back in London in your, where you are in the university? He said, sure. He was very welcoming. And I went and I sat, and I remember very much, I had a phone with me, and I was going to ask him questions. I was really excited, but then I said to myself, don't be so selfish. Why don't you just make a video out of it? It was my first video in life, my first video interview. And in fact, you can see the corner of my finger in the camera, the classical mistakes you do when you take a shot. And I just took a Basil, and we had a interview. And, well, how much hits can you get of a video of philosophy, mathematics, physics, and not a girl with bikinis involved in it? I mean, But within a very short period of time, I realized we had 40,000 viewers of that simple interview that I took with my telephone. Now, this is absolutely incredible. There were two options, one-to-one, where I would benefit from this conversation, and now 40,000. 1,250 links to that conversation. I repeat, 1,250 links of different sites refer to that interview that I had with my phone in my hand and talking to Basil Hiley, which showed me, which proved that not only I, but a lot of people in the world are interested in the fundamentals of life, in asking the basic questions. And right now, with such a fragmented society, can you believe what's happening now? We're back into the Cold War and worse. Cold War, at least there was some gentleman's agreement and everything was so mystical, the Soviets versus these, and now it's just they shoot each other. Forget about that diplomacy and Cold War. So living in such a dangerous world, I think the work that Bohm and Hiley have done, and Basil's today's contribution to this work and ongoing, is tremendously important to life, to people like me, to lay people in the street. And I encourage all of you, great scientists, great physicians, mathematicians, please talk about these things. Please talk about how mysterious the heart of matter is, and please do share that with people. Do very simple things. Do it with these cameras are amazing. Modern cameras, 30 megapixels, more than enough that you need. Just to talk with each other and record it and share it with people around the world. Now, another aspect of, I think, why this is important, and again, when I ask Basil, what is the nature of reality, he says to me, it's process. We can't find matter, it's process. And I think this is very important because now there's a movement also in the world called the process theology. So you have Christian process theologies, you have Jewish process theologies. Unfortunately, in the Islamic world, we still don't have that. Hopefully somebody will get on with the idea. But basically they say that, well, as you know, in the classical sense, the religions define God as a static element which judges you based on whether you're a good Christian or a bad Jew or a good Jew. In the process theology, God is known as a process, not an entity. So you don't pray to something, but it is a movement, it is a principle. And the whole creation is in a process of this extraordinary levels of subtlety and complexity in this creative universe that is trying to find out what will happen the next second. So not even God knows what's happening in the next second. Not even reality knows. And to have religious people talk about this, bringing the God from ultimate, the omniscient, back down and say, what? He doesn't. The eternal, the whole thing, the whole as a whole is discovering itself, discovering the next moment, moment to moment. Do you know what's the potential of this to bring religions together? When you bring that into that. So I think there's a tremendous amount of significance of work that has been done. And one of the projects that I want to do in continuation of my great friendship with Basil Hiley and people around is to make a great movie. Yesterday I had a meeting with a wonderful man, Paul Howard, who is a filmmaker, a movie about undivided wholeness of universe. And we'll talk about wholeness, and we'll put Bohm's work and Hiley's work in there. I hope, and I'm sponsoring this, we want to make it one of the highest quality movie ever made. The budget is going to hopefully double that of BBC's. I'm very passionate about this because right now is the right time to go out there. I'm just assuming if a simple telephone, with a finger at the corner of the camera covering 1/4 of it, is making so much sensation. A fantastic movie with great animations to show what is deep down in the reality. I think it would be tremendous. It really is. For me, this is one of the greatest achievements that I have achieved in my life. And to be here, to be with great distinguished scientists like Roger Penrose is so lovely to see you. It really is a great privilege to be here with you as well. And Basil, I want to thank you for the lovely energy that you have, for what you're doing, for keeping on, working very hard on it. And I know the last time I saw you, you said, Taher, I'm onto something big, and I want to, always finish this new mathematics. I hope that I can see you all, and so we can continue our wonderful discussions. One of my dreams, obviously, was to write a layman's book of your work to explain. So I said, Basil, I want to write this book with you, and this is what I want to do. He says, look, you write it, I'll do the mathematics. I'll put all the mathematics. I said, no, this is layman's guide too. So it really is a great privilege to have been your friend, to be your friend, and to be your friend in the future. We're going to make this amazing movie, and I know that Paul already has interviewed you for that movie. And I encourage you, the rest of you, please talk about these amazing things that is happening down there. It's such a privilege that my name, Taher, gets along with Hiley. When I go in circles, oh, they say, you're the one who did it with Basil Hiley. It gives me such joy, it really. I know the other day my nephew says to me, he says, oh uncle, I'm making this movie about Metal Gear, the new PS4, and I have 300 hits. I go, well, you know what, your uncle made a movie with a scientist and I got, 40,000 hits. He goes, oh my God, does he have curly hair and is his hair like this? I go, his hair is straight, but sometimes if it's too long, it looks suspicious to scientists. So you're, Basil, you're part of my family. My nephews know you, my children know you. So it really is wonderful to be here. Happy birthday to you. Look, all we want is 15 years more work and then you deserve the rest. We need you now. We need you to continue to do your amazing work. I do hope you find great students, that you are in touch with great students who can continue the work that you're doing now. I want to thank you again, Robert. Thank you for giving us opportunity to have events. These were all words of heart. It's lovely to share with you. Thank you very much.